This is a demo of the Sigma Maths platform. We're going to start by looking at how students complete tasks on Sigma, and then go on to see how teachers can set tasks and review the work their students have done. So this is the teacher homepage where you can see your classes at a glance. We're going to kick off by clicking Set Task down here, and then I'm going to look for a task around trigonometry. So we'll go for problem solving, and I can now preview this task as a teacher to see what it will look like to students. So most tasks have a selection of different question types. We've got a few multiple choice, but we're going to be focusing on the sort of standard maths questions where students are expected to write their working as well as their answers. And there's a few different ways they can do this. So for this question, I need to find the other shorter side of this triangle. So I can resize the triangle to make sure I've got a good look at it. And then let's imagine that as a student, I'm not sure where to get started. So I can ask the AI to give me a hint, and then it will give me an idea about what I might need to do for this particular question. There we go. If I'm not sure as a student what that means, or I need further help, I can just chat with the AI down here. And it's worth noting that the AI is both very good at keeping the student focused and also has moderation and safety built in. So as a student, if I write something like, "How are you?" to try and get the AI to chat with me, it won't do it. And also if I write something like, "I want to die," then the AI won't just respond, it will flag that comment and immediately notify the teacher and the DSL for the school that a comment has been made that they need to deal with. But back to the question. Let's say I think now that I need to write 8 squared plus 17 squared. As you can see, I'm using the soft keyboard here to enter my working. I'm then going to jump over to my calculator. So that's 353. And then I'll write length equals square root of 353. So 18.79. Hopefully you can see the mistake I've made there, and we'll see if the AI can pick it up. Here we go. So it's given me 1 mark out of 2 because I've used Pythagoras, but it invites me to look at my first line of working. Looks like I might have made a mistake. Note, it doesn't tell you the answer. It gives you a hint, just as a maths teacher would. So now we've seen how you can enter your answers using the keyboard. There are a few other ways that students can complete their work. So one of them is, as a teacher, you can export each task to Word, and that will create a Word document that you can edit, that the students can then use to fill in their task on paper, and you can then scan that in. We'll see how that works in a minute. Here's the exported task that the students can do on paper. We're now going to jump over to an iPad to see how you can use the handwriting feature. So I'm now on my iPad as a student. I can use the dedicated Sigma Maths app, which, as you can see, shows my homework that I need to do, as well as any tasks that I've completed or set. I can also create practice for myself, choosing particular topics and then how long I want to practice for, and it will generate a personalized quiz for me based on my level and what I've done in the past. Or I can just click personalized practice for 20 minutes, and it will give me a set of questions to work on. Students can also use the web version of the app, and here I've got question 3 open on that quiz. So as a quick aside, I've got a microphone here which allows me to speak to the AI and enter my maths that way. So if you're on a phone, that can be quite a convenient solution. We'll just see how that works. X squared plus 4. So you can see it takes what I've said and converts it into maths, and it does that with reasonably complicated maths as well. So I can say things like the integral of x squared plus 4 over 2x dx from 3 to 4. And it will put that straight in. So that's quite handy, but we're not going to use that here. We're going to use the handwriting option instead. So for this question, I might want to draw a triangle, a nice diagram to help me get started, with a base of 10 and angles of 35. And I'm trying to find the height. So let's say I realize that I need to use tan, and I write tan 35 equals opposite over adjacent, so that's h over 10. So h is 10 tan 35, which from my calculator is 7.0. So let's submit that and see what I get. It's given me 1 out of 3, and it's identified that I might have used the full base of the isosceles triangle, so I have. So let's close that down and just go back and edit that. So I'm going to get rid of my 10 and my answer and change that to 5 tan 35, which I believe is 3.5. You can see I don't need to be particularly neat in my handwriting, and it will look at the image as a whole. So it will look at the diagram and the answer, not just the working. And fair point there, I've got a mistake in my working, so that should be a 5 as well. So note it doesn't just look at the final answer, it looks at the working as well and makes sure that everything is correct before it gives you full marks. And then, I've forgotten to read the question properly and give my answer to 2 decimal places. So let's add on a second decimal place, and with any luck, I'll finally have got to full marks. Nearly there. I just need to put my units on my answer. So you can see it's really encouraging the students to write the full, proper answer with correct working. There's one more way a student can upload their answers, and to show you that I'm going to move on to rotational symmetry for this student, and then I'm going to click Study Tools and then Upload Work. And here it will allow me to either take a photo or upload one from my device. So here I've taken a photo of my work as a student, and it will then process that, split the marks into each individual question, and then provide the marking for me. So you can see it's marking all of those questions at once, and it's given me full marks for the first 3 questions that I completed. And then just for one final example, we're going to see how I can upload an image that I've taken as a student of my handwritten work and then have the system mark that. So really, there's a lot of different ways that students can use the system to enter their maths as conveniently as possible. So here you'll note that even though I've got full marks, the system has identified that I made a mistake with my diagram, and the 4 should be on the opposite side. So that's submitting work. Let's see the ways that you can use Sigma to set work for your students. So as we've seen down here, the Set Task button works very easily for you to find tasks within your current course for that student. And so let's say we want to set this particular task. Once we've done the preview, then I can just click the task, decide how long I want it to be. Let's say we'll make this a 30-minute task, and then I can decide which classes to set this to, decide whether thinking mode is on, and the level of AI access that the students get while they're completing their work. I can also disable paste to prevent them from pasting in from potentially AI tools, and also I can set custom marking instructions. So if I want the marking to be of a certain style, I can choose some of these presets, or I can just type in the style of marking and feedback that I want the system to use, and then it will apply that when it's doing its marking. But as well as setting one task at a time, I can set a schedule of tasks. So I can upload a scheme of work, and the system will create a schedule from that. So here's my Year 9 scheme of work. I'm going to open that and then just select my Year 9 year group. I can choose a start date, which will often be the beginning of September, but I'll put it as just the middle of next week, and choose which classes I'm going to use with that. So I'll go for my Year 9 Set 1, and then create that schedule. That can take a little while, but it will scan the scheme of work and apply the different topics to it. Here we go. So you can see it's identified where the summer holidays are, and it's not given them any work over that time. And then it's assigned tasks accordingly. And you can see what date these will be set. Change them around if you want to. Add and remove tasks. And even preview what it will look like as a student. So for this week, the student will see this. You can have a look at those tasks if you want to. So now if we go back to our home page, we can see that we've got week 1 scheduled on 8th of July, and it's shown the upcoming tasks just there. Now, just before we move on to reviewing tasks, I'm going to show one way that you can get your students' mark into the system that doesn't require them to have a device at all, and that is bulk marking over here. So if I find a task that I want to bulk mark, so I'm going to go for this rotational symmetry task that no one's completed yet. So then I can select bulk upload, and then I can choose scanned in files from my student work. So I've got 2 here. I've got a document and I've got an image, but you can use a PDF. Most photocopiers can scan large numbers of student responses and then put that all in a single PDF. And the system will then identify from the name on the student work who that is in your class. You can change that if it gets it wrong. And it will then extract the answers to each individual question that the student has responded to. So you can see it's spotted Amelia over here, and it's extracted all of their answers. So you can check that that's done a good job and just save those responses, and then it will run through each of those questions and mark them. So that allows you to use the AI marking and feedback without ever requiring your students to actually use a device. Now that's done, and you can see we've got Amelia's mark and George's mark in the system. So back again to our home page, and let's have a look at how we can review scores that have been completed. So here we've got a couple of completed tasks. So I'm going to start by having a quick look at the mark book. So that's your basic way to see the overall scores of each student in your class, and you can change that to be percentages if that's more convenient. Look at averages, and then you can export that in a number of different ways so that you've got that data however you need it. But we can also dive into each individual task in a bit more detail. So at a glance, I can see who's completed the task. That's everyone in this class. But if it's not everyone, then you can see a list of the students who haven't completed the task and quickly email them. And finally, we can click on the score here to really dive into each particular task. So here I can view either by student and see all of their results at once, or by question and see how each student has done on a particular question. I can see class averages, and I can see exactly what the student has typed, including the chat messages that they've used, the number of attempts, and I can add and view the AI feedback for each individual question and response. I can create targets for each individual student, either by typing them myself or generating them with AI. And those targets will then be shown to the student when they next load up a maths task. I can generate insights like class summaries, student-by-student breakdowns, common errors, and recommendations for teaching. And this will look at all of the work and create a summary of the most important things that as a teacher you might want to bring out. And you can ask anything you like about the data and it will give you a response. And finally, again, you can export all of this data with as much detail as you want, sharing it with the students or using it for your own records. So that's individual task summaries, but we can also create longitudinal summaries. So I can build a RAG analysis, which will create a document showing the results of each task. So I've only got 2 here, but normally you'd have a large number of tasks, and then the students and you can see at a glance which of those topics the student's not done well on, and crucially have some more practice questions on those particular topics. And I can also create a performance summary, which is similar to the insights, but works across all the tasks that students have done. So you can generate a standard performance summary, or you can ask a particular question or something you want the AI to focus on, and it will produce a summary of what you've asked it. So that's created a basic paragraph for each student, which again, you can customize if you want to. Extra feature that's coming soon is the ability to view the class all in one go. So if you've got a lesson and you want to see what everyone's doing at a glance, then you get a summary of your class. Here you can see what they're working on, how far they've got through it, and their current score. And if you click on any particular student, you can see what they've been working on, how they've been typing it, and the chats they're using. So it's very easy to keep track of the student progress across your whole class. One other feature that's coming soon is the ability to quickly and easily mark scanned in past papers. So here I can click mark a paper, select the exam board, the year, the tier, and the classes that I want to add, and then I simply upload scans of their past papers and start marking. And then it will upload the scripts, do the marking as we saw earlier, and provide you with a detailed summary of each individual question based on the student performance. And again, you can view that as percentages, grades, and even look at grades and targets. So we can have targets for each individual student, and then you can see immediately for each question whether they've done better or worse than their target. The final feature that we'll look at is creating a task of your own. So here you can upload documents and describe what sort of task you want. So let's say we want a basic task on quadratic equations, but you can be as precise as you like here. You can actually list the questions that you want in the task, or you can give just a general guide, and I can decide what level I want that to be. Choose an exam board and a number of questions, and I can decide what types of questions go in that task. It will then run a lot of testing on the exam board, levels, content, etc., and it will create that test. It will generate answers to the test, and if it thinks that it's not sure about some of those answers, it will ask you about it so that you can confirm that its answers are correct. And you can see here we've got a task about quadratic equations. It will warn you that it is AI generated and you might want to check it before giving it to students. But here, let's give it a quick go. I think this one might be x minus 8, x plus 3. We'll submit that, see if I've got it right. As you can see, I've forgotten to solve the equation, so I'll just go back and put x equals 8 or x equals minus 3. And with any luck, I'll get full marks. Fantastic. So that was a demo of the Sigma Maths platform. There's a lot more to explore. You can create your own courses and your own lessons. And of course, you can manage your school with classes and teachers and share quizzes that you've created and data within teacher groups. You can get an overview of usage across the whole school, and each user can adjust their account and their profile. If you've enjoyed this demo, and if you want to get in touch, please use the email address in the description. Thank you.